Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm Chris Bianchi. A Georgia court on Thursday released part of a special grand jury report investigating whether or not former President Donald Trump and his allies interfered in the 2020 presidential election, specifically in the state of Georgia, and trying to overturn those election results. So what did that report say? It's complicated. For a bit more about that and to kind of uncomplicate things, we're now joined by 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor. Very, very important. We've been talking about this for some time because we've both mentioned that this may have the highest possibilities of leading to a criminal referral for President Trump. So what did we learn from this release back on Thursday?
Well, unfortunately, we didn't learn a lot because I'm not surprised they redacted much of the report, and they really only allowed us to read the introduction, the conclusion, and then one section of the special grand jury's report was released. And as you may recall, the last time we talked about this, there was a hearing with the judge to determine if it should be disclosed or not. And in this instance, the prosecutor, Fonnie Willis, did not want the report disclosed because during the argument she said it could harm other defendants' potential fairness in their prosecution. So she implied that there would be other defendants. But the press and others wanted this to be made public. And so the judge just released, the report was made by the special grand jury who had been meeting from May through January. They issued their report, and the judge just released very small parts of it. And so we didn't learn a lot.
So, yeah, I think we saw about 6 pages total at the introduction, but didn't see the conclusion, which is the most important part, obviously. But did we get any sort of hints about where this might be headed?
Yes, so they definitely said that they were recommending perjury charges for one or more witnesses, which means, what was unique about this special grand jury is they got to subpoena witnesses, they got to see them testify under oath. And so as we're one of the few countries in the world with a jury system, in this instance, this special grand jury was able to watch the witness and see their credibility, and they determined that there were several people who committed perjury. Who that was and whether there will be charges for that, we don't know.
Okay, so they believe that a couple people may have committed perjury. So what happens with those recommendations of the grand jury now? What's the next step, basically?
Right, so the next step would be Fonnie Willis, the prosecutor in that county, Fulton County, will then likely convene a grand jury to actually issue an indictment. So here, and they then could take that report, which is a recommendation, and it's a summation of over 75 witnesses that they heard. And so then the grand jury could then actually issue these charges. So it could be, what a lot of people are saying are attempts to interfere with an election, attempts to influence a government official, these type of things. So likely there will be indictments, so I would expect that to happen.
Now, let's go down a bit of a rabbit hole because we're obviously in a bit of a speculative process here, but this would be the first time the U.S. president has ever been charged with a crime.
Yes.
That would have to be a very weird-looking, different-looking case, right? Could you get into some of those specifics?
Well, it would be completely challenging because it's never happened before, so we don't have the precedent, but you have issues of executive privilege, and then, of course, many instances when he's in his official capacity and individual capacity, he's having these attorney-client discussions. And then if there is actually a prosecution and a conviction, how the president would serve, what that would look like. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions, but this is one of the issues that a lot of people said the benefit of having President Trump in for a term was that he pushed on so many different levels that we tested our democracy in many ways and our political and jurisprudence system to see how it would stand up to many things, including the insurrection. But I will say, and I forgot to mention, that one of the things that the special grand jury came back with was a unanimous vote that there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. And so that's really important because this special grand jury is made up of people of all backgrounds, including Republicans and Democrats.
So, okay, so we basically got that, which may, again, potentially be damning to President Trump, who has to find more votes. That's the big part of all this. I guess final thing before we get out of here is you do know Fani Willis, who would be the prosecutor in this case. Tell us a bit about her.
Yes, so I went to law school with Fani Willis. We went to Emory University School of Law. I won't say what
in
year.
Atlanta.
Yes, in Atlanta. And we were in the same section. She was tenacious then. She was a very good advocate. She was good on her feet. What I remember vividly is that she wouldn't let it go. She would keep she was very tenacious and aggressive. So if there's something here, she will certainly prosecute it. And that's one of the issues. A lot of people say, well, this is political, this is partisan, and things like that. But we all saw the potential crime when we heard the phone call between President Trump and the Secretary of State. So many people are saying she had to prosecute because there were so many witnesses to this, potential crime.
I guess any final things to add about what we learned today?
No, is just I would expect that there will be charges. I would expect them to be imminent now that we know that the investigation is concluded, that the report has been made. Now I'll expect things to move quickly in terms of if there are indictments or charges brought.
And I guess final thing, it's Thursday. When will we find out?
In terms, I would say within a matter of weeks.
Okay, so we'll find out in the next few weeks. And
Yes.
we'll have you back on. Again, you do know Fani Willis a little bit, which is a bit of insight as well. But Whitney Traylor, we appreciate a few minutes of your time and clarifying this for us today.
For sure, good to be here.